Make America Smart Again. We're living in turbulent times, where billionaires are blasting off into space, while millions back on Earth can't even afford a trip to the ER. Where political ads have more drama than facts, and the old idea of government by the people, for the people, yeah, that's starting to sound like a nostalgic bedtime story. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a full-blown reality show. Only problem? We're not the contestants. We're the audience, watching from the cheap seats as the prizes go to the same VIPs every season. The ancient Romans had a phrase, divide and conquer. Turns out it's not just history, it's a business model. They keep us busy blaming our neighbors, while they pocket the profits and toast behind closed doors. That's why we need to make America smart again. Not with slogans, but with facts, with clarity, with courage. It's time to learn the basics, so we know who's really responsible for the vanishing middle class, for the shrinking brides, and the rising prices. Because if we don't act now, there may come a time when it's too late, and knowing the truth won't change a damn thing. Have you ever wondered who actually writes our laws? What if I told you that some were drafted by the very industries they're supposed to regulate? Crazy, right? It's like letting the fox not only guard the hen house, but also write the security manual. Today, we're going to follow the money and show you exactly how the system works. Fair warning, you'll need a strong stomach for this. So it's time for the warm-up example. The 2003 Medicare Prescription Drug Act, a law that forbids Medicare from negotiating lower drug prices, was literally crafted with the help of pharmaceutical lobbyists. Seriously? Who benefits from that besides Big Pharma? I promise you, it's not the people. I mean, can't you imagine a giant corporation not negotiating prices with its suppliers? Hey, no problem. I'll just take whatever price you'd ask. Yeah, I don't think so. You might think laws are made in Congress, but sometimes they're made in corporate boardrooms and just delivered to Congress with a nice bow on top. Companies spend millions hiring lobbyists, professional persuaders in expensive suits. These folks don't just whisper sweet nothings into lawmakers' ears. They practically hand them a fully written script with bullet points and footnotes. They're like the ChatGPT of Congress, except their prompts cost billions to the Treasury and usually come with Wagyu steaks and a bottle of 30-year-old scotch. And you might be wondering, wait, is that even legal? Well, not only it is legal, they get invited to fancy galas for it. You know that feeling when you leave a job and then come back to sell stuff to your old co-workers? Well, in Washington, it's not weird. It's the business model. Politicians and top aides finish their public service, then glide through the revolving door into cushy jobs at lobbying firms or giant corporations. They go from writing the rules to getting paid big bucks to bend them. Just like retiring from the NFL, then coming back as the referee with your team's jersey still under the uniform. And Congress they hit accept faster than I hit skip ad on YouTube. Let me show you an example that'll make your eyebrows hit the ceiling and possibly orbit the moon. In 2017, Congress passed the big tax reform bill. You know, the one that cut corporate tax rates from 35% down to 21%. Parts of that bill weren't just influenced by big corporations. They were practically ghostwritten by corporate tax lawyers themselves. Companies like Pfizer and FedEx didn't just lobby. They waltzed in, opened their laptops and said, "Move over, we got this." The result? Tens of billions in tax savings. Pfizer saved over $10 billion in just a couple of years. FedEx saved over $1.5 billion, and I didn't notice any discounts on overnight shipping. Meanwhile, the same politicians who approve these laws are out there crying about the deficit. Funny how cutting taxes for billion-dollar corporations somehow doesn't count as a deficit problem. If this law had actually been written for regular folks, the U.S. Treasury might have had hundreds of billions more for schools, roads, hospitals, or hey, maybe even cutting our taxes. But no, corporations are doing great. And those tax lawyers probably got bonuses bigger than the tax breaks we got. Ever wonder how much it costs to win a seat in Congress? In 2022, the average winning campaign for the House cost $2.35 million. For the Senate, $16 million. That's just the official spending. Add in super PACs, dark money, and billionaire buddies, and it becomes a pay-to-play VIP club. And once in office, those politicians don't just owe handshakes, they owe favors. We're talking tax loopholes, industry-friendly regulations, and bills that read like love letters to lobbyists. Citizens United, 2010. The Supreme Court ruled that unlimited political spending equals free speech. Corporate spending before that? Around $140 million. By 2020, over $4 billion. The message? If you've got money, you've got a megaphone. If not, bring a notepad. Pharma lobbying, 2003. $141 million spent by Big Pharma the year the Medicare Modernization Act passed. It banned Medicare from negotiating drug prices. Since then, over $300 billion in extra costs to taxpayers. F-35 fighter jet program. Defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon spend over $70 million a year on lobbying. The F-35 program alone? $1.7 trillion. Over budget, behind schedule, still flying. That's enough money to give every American a Tesla and a car charger. Big Tech and Section 230. Google, Facebook, Amazon. $124 million spent in 2022 lobbying for favorable laws. Thanks to Section 230, they're shielded from liability for content on their platforms. That's like hosting the world's biggest party and being legally immune to the cleanup. 2017 tax cuts. Corporate Christmas. Corporate tax rate slashed from 35% to 21%. Corporations saved $91 billion in a single year. Average middle-class tax cut? $930, and it expires after 2025. Let's connect the dots with receipts. Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. Over $33 million spent lobbying in 2023. Lockheed Martin and Boeing. Nearly $30 million combined to keep defense budgets massive. Meta and Google. About $30 million. And they still track what you ordered for lunch. JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup. $20 million to keep financial regulations optional. That's not lobbying. That's influence. With a receipt. So what's the cost of all this political friendship? Higher prescription prices. Americans pay 2.5 times more than people in other countries. An EpiPen? $650 here. $69 in Canada. Defense spending versus education. U.S. military budget? $886 billion. Education? Just $82 billion. That's 10 missiles for every math book. Tech privacy. Companies collect over 1,500 data points on each of us. Your coffee order, your ex's birthday, and that weird thing you Googled at 2 a.m. Widening inequality. The top 0.1% own as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That's like splitting a pizza. And one guy takes 9 slices in the box. Here's the billion-dollar question. Can we fix it? People have tried. Campaign finance reform has been proposed again and again and again. Efforts to overturn Citizens United? Still stuck in Congress, probably next to things we'll totally do later. In 2022 alone, $4.1 billion was spent on lobbying. Fixing the system is hard when the referees are paid by the players and the cheerleaders. So, is it legal? Yes, and that's the problem. Is it fair? That's for you to decide. But if you're tired of swimming upstream against a current of billionaires and lobbyists, it's time to fight back. Arm yourself with knowledge. It won't buy you a private jet, but it'll give you the power to dismantle their nonsense. Remember, facts matter. Informed citizens can demand respect and real change from their government. Hit that subscribe button and join Massa, because democracy needs warriors, not spectators. Let's stop letting lobbyists do all the talking. They've said enough.